Alright, what's up, guys? So, NHL playoffs start soon. I think they start Monday or Tuesday. No, they won't start. I don't know. But I can do bracket predictions now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I meant to do it last year, but I forgot. So I'm going to do it now. And before we get into it, I've been an Ottawa Senators fan my whole life. So the fact that they managed to make it to the playoffs is astounding. So because of that, I'm going to show some bias, definitely towards them, like any fan would. So I'm just going to go ahead and acknowledge that now. So even if you don't think that my choices are the most logical, or they're from the soul, my thought process. So the Western Conference is on the left, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. So St. Louis versus Mini. This was very unfortunate that Mini did not get the eighth seed, because when Mini was in the eighth seed before they moved up to the seventh, I actually predicted, like, well, when they were on their run, I don't know, I felt like they would get to the conference finals. Sigh. Out of here. There's nothing wrong with my color scheme. But I thought that they would make it to the conference finals, but the Blues have been rolling really well, nicely. So I actually think that Mini and St. Louis are the top two teams in the Western Conference. And whoever ends up winning that series IRL, in my opinion, is going to take the whole Western Conference. But I think that right now, the Dubnyk train has kind of slowed down, and St. Louis has picked itself up. Like, the entire team is going into nice form. But I don't think that Mini's going to go over, like, easily. I think that they're going to try and play it tight and defensive. So, can I do number of games? So, I'm going to say, how do I do that? Okay, there we go. So, I'm going to say St. Louis in 7 games, they win at 43. There was a thing here last year where you could pick the number of goals, but I guess I got rid of that. So, Nashville versus Chicago, I think this is going to be another tough one. But, I don't know. I think, okay, why? There's nothing wrong with this. Okay. I'm going to say Chicago in 6. Because of the fact, well, do I click on them? Okay, there we go. I'm going to say Chicago in 6 because of the fact that they've been rolling a little bit better. Well, they had that rough patch, like, in the first third of the season. They've done alright since then. Nashville, though, they got off to a really hot start to the season, but they've since kind of, like, their production has kind of slowed down. So what's really carrying them right now is Pecorine, and then the goal that they get every now and then. And, you know, the Blackhawks, they're supposed to get Kane back for the playoffs, which will really help them, assuming that he comes back on the same level that he was before he got injured. And the Blackhawks are just, like, a better playoff tested team, and I think that's gonna help them get past the Predators, because they're not really rolling too well right now. All right, so next we got the Ducks and the Jets. I'll go for the Jets for making the playoffs. Why does this keep coming up? But ask me again if I could. My computer is not performing slowly. And don't show this message again. Thank you. What's my performance, by the way? See, look at that. My performance is nothing. I don't know. I hope I don't have a fucking virus or something in the background. Oh well. Alright. But let's see. We have Anaheim versus Winnipeg. I think this game is going to kind of be a slaughter, to be honest. I haven't really been paying that much attention to the Western Conference because, like I said, my team lies out in the East. From what I understand, Winnipeg has a couple of injuries that they've dealt with, and I think Anaheim's a pretty deep team. So I'm going to say that they take it in 5. I don't know. But I hope Winnipeg proves me wrong, because obviously the more Canadian teams that we have advanced, the better. And then Vancouver versus Calgary. I think this is going to be a bit of an upset, if you want to call it that. I just think that the Canucks are kind of an team, if you ask me. And they've kind of taken advantage of like their veteran depth, if you want to say that, and being in the weakest conference out there. Because the Pacific, at least in my opinion, is the weakest conference. And then the Flames are just rolling really well. I've got that top line going, and I think that who's their goalie, Hiller. I don't even know if he's still in net for them or not, but maybe he could steal some games if they have Hiller in net because he's a pretty solid playoff tested goalie. And I don't know, is Giordano out for the rest? Yeah, Giordano's out for the rest of the season, but I think that they Canucks aren't necessarily that amazing. Like both their goalies, they've been pretty good, but they haven't been amazing. And it's really been the Sedins, and then who's that other guy that they got at the end of the season? I don't remember his name, but he had like a 63-point season. So I think that this is going to be kind of an upset, and I think that the young boys in the Flames are going to take this one in 6 for Calgary. So that's the first round in the Western Conference. So we're gonna head out to the Eastern Conference, and like I said, it's the Canadiens versus the Sens. This is not going to be what it was a couple of years ago, because the Canadiens players are more mature, and I think that they're just more solid. And then Price is a different goalie at the moment. I still have faith in my team that they're going to win, but I think that they're going to win it in 7 games as opposed to what they did the year before in 5, because the Canadiens' offense is kind of sputtering right now. At least from what I've seen, like Pacioretty and Subban have really been their 2 main sources of offense, and Carey Price has kind of had to stand on his head a little bit to carry them through a couple of games. So I think that Price is going to keep it close. Plus Montreal, I think, is going to find it within themselves to step up a little bit more, because the end of their season wasn't necessarily optimal. So I think they're going to try and step up a little bit, but I still think that the Sens clutch it out in 7, especially because we're riding in on such a hot streak. But the Canadiens definitely aren't going to fold over and give it to us. I think that's going to be probably the closest series out of the Eastern teams. So then we have Tampa versus Detroit. This series could be close depending on whoever your nets for Detroit, whether it's who's their backup guy, Mazurek, or Jimmy Howard plays, or it could be really bad if they're good, then it'll be close. But if they're not close, then the series will be bad because even though Detroit does have some offensive weapons, they can't compete with Tampa. And I don't think that even defensively they could compete with Tampa. So maybe they steal a couple of games because of goalie magic. But I think that it's going to be 5 games Tampa. Detroit's definitely going to steal at least 1 game. But I honestly think that they're not going to steal more than 1 game. And then, let's see, we've got New York versus Pittsburgh. Obviously, Pittsburgh is not rolling too hot right now. Injury to Letang is not good. Obviously, when you have Crosby and Malkin on your team, you might be able to steal a couple of games. But I think the Rangers are feeling pretty good about themselves right now. And then they have the best D-core in the league, pretty undisputedly. And then, I don't know if they're going to have Lundqvist in net or if they're going to have their backup, depending on how he plays. So, the Rangers and goalie are a little questionable, but I wouldn't say too questionable. I think Lundqvist just needs to shake off the rest, and he'll be really good. So, I think the Penguins can take 2 games, just because when you have the Crosby and the Malkin threats, you can steal a couple games. Plus, I think Fleury is feeling pretty good about his game, like the best he's felt in years. So I think they can get a couple of games off, but the Rangers still win overall. And then the Caps and the Islanders. This one I think is going to be pretty close too. But I think that the Caps win it in 6 because the Islanders had a good, strong start to the season. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. And then the Caps, I think, have picked up solid momentum the rest of the season. And then Braden Holtby's probably been the second best goalie besides Carey Price this entire season. And then combine that with Ovechkin rolling well, and then their decoy's been a little bit better. I think that the Caps can win this one in 6. So can I pick the next games or no? I don't know. Let me see. So can I pick them? Okay, I can't pick them. Okay, so I think that St. Louis is going to beat Chicago. I think that they've got this predict the winner, predict the length of the series in the first round. Okay, I can only pick it in the first round. The total number of goals in... Okay, so I think that the Blues beat the Blackhawks there, just because I think that the Blues are rolling really well, and then once they beat Minnie, I think that's going to give them the confidence to power through the Blackhawks, because the Blackhawks are going to be really good. And I think that series is definitely going to go to 7 games minimum. But I just think that the Blues are going to be rolling too good. And I mean, the Blackhawks could easily just clutch it out versus the Blues because they have been too close the past couple of years. Whereas the Blackhawks have been really good in the playoffs. But I think, I feel it in my gut that this is their year. And then the young kids can only ride so much momentum. So I say that Anaheim wins. So it's going to be a matchup with the 2 number 1 overall seeds in the conference finals for St. Louis versus Anaheim. And then over in the East, we have Ottawa versus Tampa. Like I said, this might be my fan bias coming through, but I think this is going to be another 6 or 7 game series, really close. But I believe in the bottom of my heart that we can get to the conference finals. I think that we're just riding too hot right now. And then Rangers and the Caps is going to be really close. This is a tough one because, I don't know, I don't remember off the top of my head who won their last game together that they played against each other. I want to say it was the Rangers, but I don't remember. Whoever won their last game, I think they would be able to win that series, maybe. But the playoffs are like a different breed, so I don't know. I think if an upset were to happen, like besides Ottawa, then this would be it, like the Caps coming through. But I think that the Rangers' decor is too good, and it's like I think that the Rangers power through, and then they get to Ottawa in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then out in the West, like St. Louis has just been a much better structured team than the Ducks. So I say that they end up getting to the Stanley Cup Finals over the Ducks. I think that this is where they run of just being able to like grind out a bunch of games and win. And like I said, I think that I thought that St. Louis and Minneapolis are the best 2 teams in the West right now. And whoever manages to win that series is probably going to represent the Western Conference and the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to stick by that logic and take the Blues there. And I think if they beat Minnie and they can beat Chicago, then those 2 teams I think are better than Anaheim is right now. I mean, they find ways to win, but I just think that both of those teams are much better structured, and they're riding like more positive vibes, I guess you could say, into the playoffs. And then that's gonna take them to the finals. And then as much as I wanna put my own team in there, I don't think that they can beat the Rangers. I think that they can take it to 6 or 7, but I don't think they can beat the Rangers. So it's going to be the Blues versus the Rangers. They get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. And then I think that this is, like I said, I feel like this is the year for the Blues. So I take the Blues as the Stanley Cup champions, and total goals scored in the final series, I have no idea. I don't know. What's 2.5 times 7? Let's see, 2.5 times 6 is 15, 30, and then 40. Okay, I think that sounds semi-reasonable, because that's an average, I don't know, is that reasonable? 40 goals? Like I said, that's between 2 to 3 goals per game for both team, which is why I say 2.5. So I think that's reasonable. 40 goals. So anyways, this is my little bracket. You can definitely feel free to disagree with me, and I'm definitely not like an analytics expert, so you can pull stats out your ass. But I know a couple of the stats, but then sometimes you just gotta go with the gut feeling, and just looking at the way they're playing. So that's my end prediction right there. You can see them all right there. I'm not gonna save the bracket because I have to make an account, and I don't want to make an NHL.com account. So this is it right here, and hopefully I can look back on this video and I will be fairly correct. Of course, I would like for my team to, get farther than this and end up winning the Stanley Cup final. And actually, that would be a real storybook final to see Mini versus Ottawa. But like I said, whoever wins this series, in my opinion, is gonna go to the Western Conference Final, or not just the Western Conference Final, the Stanley Cup Final. And then I just think that the Rangers, especially on D, are just stronger than they're strong enough, I think, to shut down the rest of the Eastern Conference, especially if like Lundqvist can shake off his rust, which I think he's more than capable of doing. And then I think that the Blues right now are just rolling on all cylinders right now. Like, I've watched a couple of games, like their last couple of games, and there's not a point in their game that I can look and say that they're weak right now. Like, they don't have that many players coming off of rust entering the playoffs like the Rangers and the Blackhawks. And like, they've got a lot of scoring, they've got a lot of defensive depth. Brian Elliott, I think, is playing the best that he's played that I've ever seen from him. This is coming from an Ottawa fan too, where we had Elliott for like 4 years, I think, probably more. I don't remember. I remember at least 4 years with Brian Elliott. All right. Also, people are making noise outside, but and that'll be it.